What's up, everybody? Welcome to More Than a Statistic, episode 14. Glad to have y'all with us again tonight. I'm Michael, grateful believer and follower of Jesus Christ, recovered drug addict and alcoholic, 8 years clean today. Very excited about this episode tonight. It's funny how this all tied in together. So our guest, Jessica, is with Handcuffs to Hope. Well, so how this all happened, my mom saw her segment on the news and she called me when I was leaving work and was like, hey, I seen this girl, she's doing a ministry from recovery and jail. This is what you've always talked about. You have to reach out to her. So I was like, okay, I'll reach out, I'll check into it. So I reached out, I saw your profile, I sent you a message talking about our podcast, our recovery, and so then I told Justin about it. And I was like, dude, this girl has started this ministry. Maybe we should, reach out. And so then right after that, my son Jax had a baseball tournament. One of the kids on our team, his mom come to me and was like, hey, I know this girl, she started this ministry. I know that you do a podcast and I know that you're in recovery. I think you two should link up. I said, okay, well, it's funny, I've already sent a message. So then Justin posted on another recovery page about our podcast, and then you reached out. Justin come to work and was like, bro, you're never going to believe this. So, I've really been tripped out by the whole God tying this all in. And so, I've kind of looked at your story a little bit and seen a little bit what you've done. I'm not familiar with you, don't know you. And so I've kind of been preparing for the day, and we were sitting on break, and I'd seen your testimony that you posted this afternoon. And I sat and I read it, and I literally about started crying. And I looked at Justin and I was like, brother, this is going to be one of the best ones yet, because she is truly what we are. She's come from what we've come from. And I just felt such a connection with your story, because there's so much of mine that was wild how it'd be tied together.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for tonight, very thrilled. So it's I've went from becoming a co-host to now I'm a fan of what you're doing. I'm a big supporter of you now. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm excited for tonight.
Me too.
Me too. My name's Justin Griffin. I'm 11 years clean, and it's the same as just the movement and the way life is. And so many people are lining up, even though your ministry is completely different in the area. The mindset and what we're trying to do is the same. So to see how this did, to zigzag around and then it came back to you, I just find it laughable, because it's not the first time. We joke about this constantly, about how this stuff, when it's meant to happen, it links up.
Yeah.
And the same as, I didn't really know you, but once I seen what you was doing, I know how much he loves that and what that means to him and how excited he was. So I'm really excited for this as well as what you're doing. Basically going to just let her go straight in, tell her story. This is her episode. She's going to command it. So best of luck.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So my name is Jessica Birch. I'm the executive director of Handcuffs to Hope. First, congratulations.
Well, I didn't mean
I didn't even know
today.
that.
I was kind of just I stumbled with it, but not as of today.
Okay. But right around here?
I'm 8.5 years clean, but I was when I was talking, and I stumbled on myself, and I was today, and then I tried to come back and catch myself, hoping nobody caught it, and then I heard it. So, I was hoping nobody's going to come back, but so we'll cover that one up.
Yeah. So I have been in recovery for 9 years. I found recovery July of 2016. So basically, I guess we can kind of just do an overview and then questions or whatever.
Sure.
So I come from a really small town outside of Nashville, Tennessee. And so my family, I have 3 brothers. And so I was only raised with one of them. My oldest brother is my dad's son. My older brother is my mom's son. And then me and my youngest brother share parents. So my childhood, I come from a lot of trauma. My family is full of addicts and alcoholics. I have an aunt that was pretty much basically the one of us that made it out and, went to the military and got a better life for herself. But we were all raised in the projects. That's the same background she has too. And so that's the route that she went. She's pretty much the responsible one of the family, if you would say. But so I started using drugs when I was 13. And a lot of that was, I was hanging out with people that were older than me. So one of my mom's friends' kids, they were older than me, and they were really babysitting pretty much. But you don't really babysit a 13-year-old, right?
Sure.
So they were already just doing wild things. I mean, they were older than us, and so it pretty much kind of innocently happened to where, it was, I was curious and ended up, trying to party with them. And so I skipped the whole smoking cigarettes, smoking weed, drinking. I skipped all of that. And the very first thing that I'd done was Oxycontin. And so it turned my world upside down. I will never forget the feeling of the first time that I'd done it, because it was like this warm sensation of something that I've never felt in my life. Mm-hmm. And I knew immediately that it was about to ruin my life. I just had this feeling. Also, when I grew up, the adults that I was around, they were adults I didn't want to become. So that was something I always had in my mind, was I don't want to be like them. My uncles, I love them very much. But one of them, he went to jail for public intoxication and got beat to death in the jail. My family ended up suing the Wilson County Jail, and it was a lot. My other uncle had cancer, and I do have good memories from my childhood. My childhood wasn't all bad, yes, I have a lot of trauma, but it wasn't all bad. And so, I love my family. It's very dysfunctional, but those are things that we don't get to pick or change. I don't know if that's fortunate or unfortunate, but
it's bittersweet sometimes.
It's bittersweet. I mean, I love them very much, but a lot of them are dead now. But so I pretty much kind of while I was a teenager, I was using, and things were happening as far as I kept getting in trouble as a juvenile. It was like we would be at parties, and then here come the police, or we get pulled over and we're drinking, or it was just things like that were absolutely ridiculous. But it kind of kept going, but I was functioning. So I would be lying if I said that I didn't have fun during my drug use, because I did have a lot of years where I thought we were just partying and we were running around and we were having a great time. I just didn't realize what was being neglected and what was kind of happening. And so it continued to progress. I graduated high school in 2012. I really don't know how I did that, but I always make a joke, but it's not funny, but I always say I didn't go to high school. I went to school high. And I did, and I somehow graduated. I do not remember my high school graduation outside of, I know that my oldest brother, my mom, my aunt, my grandma, my older brother, everybody was there, but I don't remember where and what was going on, if that makes sense. So after high school, I always had plans of doing things like forensics. That was something I was really interested in. And so while I was in high school, I was taking classes at MTSU to do stuff like that, and with fire. And so that had been my focus, but I always felt like something was missing on that end. I don't know if it was I'm not smart enough. I don't know if I don't belong in that arena. I'm not real sure. It was something that kind of held me from trying to pursue that. So I ended up, I kept going to jail. I kept getting ridiculous charges. I could not understand why I kept waking up in jail. I didn't know that I had revoked license for however long before I got in recovery. It was just a disaster, and I really started, I started experiencing overdoses. I was tearing my family apart. And so when I ended up going in and out of, I was in and out of jail, in and out of rehabs. It was just a constant cycle. It was never ending. and I never knew when it would end. So anytime that I went to a facility, though, like anytime I went to rehab, it was because somebody made me.
Right.
Like, so I was never there for Jessica.
Yep.
And so when my son, I ended up pregnant with my oldest child when I think I was 20 or 21. And so I ended up experiencing, I think he was about 6 months old. I ended up experiencing an overdose, and I just left the hotel. I was driving my car, and I remember so vividly that I was all of a sudden I was like, I think I'm about to die, and like it was just this weird, like really weird feeling. So I was right there by a gas station. I was like, okay, I need to pull over here because I've got to get it together. I had been up all night. It was so crazy, but I will never forget that feeling of like I'm fixing to die. So I pulled into the gas station, and as I pulled into the gas station, that's when I went out. And so I was, apparently I had made it to a gas pump, but when I fell out, I had my foot on the brake. I had my feet on the brake and on the gas. So not only was I in a drug overdose, carbon monoxide was coming through the vents in my car. And so the Jeep that I had at that time, if you did not, like if the car was running, the doors were locked. So there was an off-duty firefighter that busted my window and ended up administering Narcan to me and saving my life. And it was all I remember is my mom ended up there. So Lebanon's a really small town. You can get anywhere in a few minutes. I guess I may call my mom. I don't know. I just remember, like, I was arguing with her in the parking lot, and she kept saying, "You have got to stop using drugs, Jessica. Like, you've got to stop." And I'm like, "I've not done drugs. Like, what are you talking about?" And like my ears were ringing. It was just so like I couldn't stop puking. Like it was just so much going on at one time. And I was actually leaving that hotel to go get my son from my mom. So a few days went by, and my mom actually had me make my funeral plans. And that was not that day that it really impacted me, but as I sat and thought about it those days to follow, I started realizing that I was going to die in addiction. And I would tell myself, like, I've already ruined a baby's life, and he would be better off without me. When I back up just a tad to when I had him, I ended up using drugs, and it sent me into early labor with him. And so when I was at the hospital, you know, they were there expecting to take my baby, and he ended up not testing positive for substances. How, I have no idea. I think that was a God thing, and God knew that at some point I was getting ready to get my life together to be at the mom that he needed. So, you know, he ended up getting to come home with us. I also thought that having a baby would cure my addiction. And unfortunately, it didn't work that way for me. I know that, you know, it makes a lot of people uncomfortable, but addiction is stronger than a mother's love, and that just speaks volumes, really. So I ended up, for the first time in my life, back to after we made funeral plans, I really would sit and think, and I'm like, he's better off without me. So is my family. At that point, you know, all my brothers were just done with my stuff. My mom was over it. It was just, everything was upside down. And then a lot of things, some of the things that, you know, I was sharing about earlier, those things were happening. It was really just, I started seeing where God was telling me that I don't think that this is the way that my life is supposed to go. So the first time in my life, I went to treatment on my own, on Jessica's own decision. And so I also will never forget the last day that I got high. Because I drove my son. He was a naked baby. He did not have a diaper. There was no food. There was no nothing. It was pouring down rain. And I drove him to his grandmother's house, and I said, you need to take him because I'm going to rehab and I don't know what else to do. And so, like, I just will always vividly remember just handing him over to her. And I always found myself apologizing to him. Like, he's a baby, you know, and I'd always find myself saying, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry. This is so unfair that I'm your mom. So while I was in treatment, his first birthday come around, and I was having a lot of really strong feelings. So I was wanting to leave. I wanted to go get high. It was a lot to deal with. Like I felt like I had ruined a kid.
Yeah.
And that's just not a good feeling. So I was getting ready to leave, and one of the counselors, I know that for me, God places people in my life because I don't always hear him. So he'll put somebody in front of me to say something that he's trying to say that I'm ignoring. And so this
Persistent.
like seriously.
Yeah.
So this counselor, he looked me dead in my eye and he said, Jessica, he said, if you leave, you're never going to live to see another birthday. And he said, but if you stay, you never have to miss another one. And I have never missed another birthday.
Amen.
And to this day, like that's an angel walking this earth. That truly saved my life. I would be dead if somebody had not said that to me. So I ended up I stayed and went to, an inpatient facility from detox. And it was hard, but, my mom would come and bring my son to see me, and they would do therapy for family, and Buffalo Valley they were done with my mess. But I'm thankful for all those chances. They gave me 8 chances. This was my 8th time in treatment at Buffalo Valley specifically. And so they told me that I could come back, but they said, this is probably your last straw here. Because I had left before. I had, ended up in trouble, and it was a disaster. So, that's a lot of why I do what I do now is those second chances that people have given me that other people deserve too. So the very next really big God moment in my life was when I was getting ready to leave. My mom told me I couldn't come home or I wouldn't get my son back. So I ended up, I was going to come to a halfway house here in Knoxville. And so my plan was one of my friends was going to come get me. We're going to go get high real quick, and then I was going to go to the halfway house, right? That was my plan. I had this master plan. And so I was getting ready to go. You have to go to a little building, get your paperwork from your counselor or whatever. And so I hated my counselor, by the way. I walked in, and he had all these awards on the wall, and it was like Counselor of the Year and Counselor of the State and this and that. And I'm like, oh, no. It just was it was intimidating. You know what I mean? I had never been a person that had some type of work like that, right? And so I went to get my papers from him, and he kind of held them, you know what I mean? And I'm like, what is your problem? And so he also looked me dead in my eye, and he said, Jessica, you're never going to make it. He said, you're never going to make it. And I'm spiteful.
So let me show you something.
And so him saying that, I was like, you know what? Yes, I am. So I called my mom, and I said, you need to hurry up and come get me because I was going to go get high and then go to the halfway house, but I can't do that because I've got to make it. And she was like, oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that you plan on going to get high, but thank you. Yeah, she's like, say less. We're on the way. So she got my oldest son, Joss, and he was a baby at the time, and she came and got me, and they drove me up here. Well, as we're getting close, my mom, she's like, I think I've been here before. And I'm like, no, you haven't. We're from Middle Tennessee, and we're over here in, no, you haven't. You're so weird. So we get in the house, and we're going up to my room or whatever. And my mom, she's like one of those walks on my heel people. And so I didn't feel her on my heels when I walked in my bedroom, and we had a big window, and you could see the sun sphere from it. I never even knew stuff like that existed, and it was just so cool. I was looking at it, and I realized my mom went behind me, so I turned around, and she's crying, and I'm like, why are you crying? And so it was Oxford House, and she was like, this used to be Agape, and I was here, and I was pregnant with you, and this was my bedroom. Yeah. And so I was like, wait, what? And I just started crying because I was like, I just kept feeling along the way, God just kept saying I got you. I know you're scared, but I got you. So I stayed, and I went to an NA meeting that night, and that became my home group for many, many years. I had went to 12-step meetings before, different times trying to get clean, but I was just getting paper signed. I didn't even know what they were doing.
Yeah.
But this time I knew that nothing else was working, and I was like, something has to. And I just remember when I went there, it felt so, these people felt so, just this vibe of people. And they were belly laughing and hugging each other, and Like I would, and it was just so weird. I was like,
I remember.
I might like
I remember
this.
that. Yeah.
And I was like, I might kind of like this. And so just that feeling of that, feeling like I belonged in there, and I didn't even know I didn't know any of these people, not a single person. And so that kind of made me be like, okay, you know. So I'd done that for a few days, and actually the first few months of my recovery, we were going to 3 meetings a day. That was crazy. But so one night I was getting ready to leave because I was ready to go home. I was just tired of it here, and there's a lot going on. So one of the girls, I didn't know where I was. Like I'm not familiar with this. I've never been in East Tennessee before. I knew the bus station was somewhere near us. I just didn't know where, and also didn't have a car. So I kept asking one of the girls in the house that drove if she would take me to the bus station. And so she goes, I got a better idea. And I'm like, I'm sure you do, you know.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm getting ready to go to a speaker meeting. And she said, why don't you go with me? And she said, if you still want to leave after the speaker meeting, I'll take you to the bus station. And so I was like, okay, bet. Because I was like, I'm going to the bus station, you know what I mean?
Right out. Just go ahead and ride out to this meeting. It'll be over with.
And so I went to the speaker meeting. And it was one of my dear friends now, Alec, that was sharing his story. He was celebrating 1 year clean. And he shared this story about all this trauma and this incarceration and how, you know, his life was just bound by addiction and just drugs and the lifestyle and the family. And he literally shared my story like he was a different gender, he's a different race. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, what in the world? So like after the meeting, I was like bawling, crying. I went up to him and I gave him a hug, and I was like, you don't understand. Like, you just saved my life. Like I was fixing to leave, and I was like, I think I need to stay. Like I need to stay, because he kept saying like, just stay, and I'm like, why is he saying that? Do you know what I mean? Like this person didn't even know me. He didn't know why I was like, and it was so crazy. So he now he's one of my dear friends. We've stayed friends through the years. He owns a printing company, like a branding company. And he's actually fixing to launch a store for Handcuffs to Hope. So awesome. It's funny how everything just always is full circle. So after that, I kind of just I was at the halfway house, and one of the biggest things that kind of pushed for where we're at now with what we're doing, I ended up probably, I think I had about 6 months clean. And I was still in the halfway house. One of my friends was having a memorial for one of our other friends that had passed away. She had been dead for 2 years. So I had to go back to Lebanon to her memorial. So after her memorial, I'm in the car with my mom. We're headed to my brother's house. And we pull up to my brother's house. The next thing you know, like, we're surrounded by police officers. And I'm like, what have you done? And she's like, I'm not the criminal. Like, you're the criminal. Like, what do you mean, what have I done? And I'm like, well, I haven't done anything. You know what I mean? So they end up pulling me out of the car, and I had an indictment. I go to jail for selling Schedule II drugs. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, you don't understand. Like, I'm in a halfway house. I have a curfew. They're going to put me out. I can't go to jail. I have to go to the halfway house. Like, I'm already on thin ice. Like, right. I can't do that. And they're like, yeah, well.
Sorry.
Yeah, they're not just giving me the option. So I'm sitting in jail, and for one, I'm cold. I'm aggravated. The girl that's in there with me, one was detoxing and puking her guts up. The other was high as hell. And it was so cold. And I just remember I sat there and I said out loud, because I was so frustrated. And I'll never forget, I looked up in the sky and I said, God, if this is what this is, I don't want it. I don't want it. And so all I could think about was I wasn't going to make it home for curfew at the halfway house. They were going to put my stuff out. Like, I'm going to end up somewhere dead. You know, like what am I supposed to do? And so I didn't know that behind the scenes, everybody was working together. My sponsor, my kid's dad, and my mom were working on making my bond. They had talked to the halfway house. The halfway house said that since it wasn't a new charge, and it was something that I had to take care of from the past, that it was okay. I could come back once I got out. I didn't know all this, though.
Yeah,
so, like,
right.
I'm in there tripping. Yeah, like, I'm purely panicking.
Like, it's all over with. I've done all this, and now
so
it's
they
gone.
end up, like, they send me back, and I'm getting dressed out because I'm getting ready to stay. And I'm like, no way. Like, this can't be. And I just kept saying, God, like, this can't be. Like, you don't understand. This can't be happening right now. And I ended up, they called my name and told me to get my stuff. And I was like, where are we going? I was like, oh, God, I'm going to prison. Like, I'm like, where are we going? Yeah, I'm like, oh, God, this is a disaster. And they're like, you're going home? And I was like, wait, what? so I get out, and my mom's standing in there, and she's like, Jess, I'm so proud of you, and just want you to know, Oxford's not putting you out. I'm taking you right back. And I remember that was like, I had like a breath of fresh air where I was just like, okay, God, like you just keep, just every time, like you just keep giving me confirmation of, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I come back, I end up pregnant with my second child. And so I'm in the halfway house. I'm freaking out because I'm going, okay, I don't even have my oldest child. Like, now I have the audacity to be pregnant with another child. I'm in a halfway house. I don't own a car. I'm working to pay off probation and pay rent at the halfway house. Like, that's literally all I was doing. And I'm like, this is going to be so bad. And luckily I had the support to where it didn't go that way. So I had about, I don't know, maybe a little over, probably about, I'd say about 14, 15 months. I ended up getting my apartment. I got my oldest son back, and then I gave birth to my baby. And so it was just, it was the three of us from there on out. And so, I've because of a 12-step program is how I was able to find some type of where I belong in this world. It's given me a family that I never would have had. Me and my kids have purely made it off of that. It's really just, it's been able to teach me how to deal with a lot of things. I've also had to do professional help outside of that because, there's a lot of trauma and stuff that unfortunately licensed professionals need to take care of. But along this path, I turned around, and just the way that happened like that, it also happened in my career. So I was, I'm a waitress by trade. And so, that and bartending was all I ever knew. So that's what I was doing. When I got that indictment, it made it to where I couldn't renew my ABC license. So I knew that within the next few years, I had to figure out something. So then I knew that, I wanted to help people. I just didn't know what that looked like. I wasn't familiar with any of this. So I started working at Serenity, that's now Journey Pure. It used to be called Serenity. I was working there, and then I was playing volleyball with the patients, and I ended up breaking my ankle. And so that was a whole disaster. From there, I went to Cornerstone, and I was working there for a while. That's where I really started. I became a peer support specialist. I ended up really just kind of diving in on this career as far as education and learning about different things and different kind of paths and stuff. So I learned a lot of education there. From there, I went to UT Hospital. And at the hospital, we started a navigator program. And so basically what we were doing was people that were coming in from overdoses, we were connecting them with resources, doing peer support in the emergency and trauma. So with that was so successful that they decided to expand it throughout the entire hospital.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And even though that was absolutely incredible, we were only so many people. And sometimes it was a little hard to navigate, but it always made a way. Like, it always just fell how it was supposed to fall. We made a lot of great relationships. It took a while. At first, they didn't really want us there because it was, I'm a doctor, you're a drug addict, and what I'm saying is what goes. Yeah. And so then by the time I had left, though, it ended up, they were coming to us saying, we don't even know what to do. You tell us what to do and we'll sign off on it. It was pretty funny, but we ended up building a lot of great relationships there. So while I was there, COVID hit. And when COVID first happened, inside of a hospital was beyond traumatic. I can't even explain it. So the rest of the navigators, they had been working, we were all under separate grants through different agencies. And so I was the only one that was a UT employee. So when COVID hit, everyone that was not a UT employee wasn't allowed in the hospital anymore. So we went from having 7 navigators to 1.
Oh, it's all on me now.
Yeah. And so not only do they have me freaked out and my anxiety because we were having to wear all this stuff, we act like we can't even touch. It was back to literal start of COVID, and it was just so much. So I had, while I was at the hospital, I was volunteering with one of our syringe service programs. And I was distributing harm reduction stuff, safe syringes, naloxone. I was doing that throughout the entire state, but I was focusing kind of more on here and my hometown as well. That was some of the amends I started making, was, helping with some different things and stuff. So I remember one day I went to my car. I was just so exhausted. I was so, we would have to take off stuff to go out, put on stuff to go in. It was just so much going on. And a lot on me, and they could only do so much from home. They were working from home, but they couldn't do anything but make phone calls.
Yeah, I'm
and it just made it a lot. Yeah, it was a lot.
So
and I was so exhausted, and I went to my car one day, and I was like, God, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, but if this is it, okay, I need some help. I'm tired. And then out of nowhere, I got a phone call. And a position had come open, an overdose prevention specialist, and a position had come open, and they were like, we highly encourage you to submit your resume. And so I did that. So I had, I will never forget, the woman that was in leadership at that time, Karen. She's really important in my life. She gave me a chance when I was not to the point to where I was as professional as I should have been, because I hadn't had to be at that point in time. And so I got slapped in the face pretty quickly with politics and professionalism. And so for me, that was a hard little lump to get over, but I absolutely loved doing what I was doing. So that's what I'd done for the past 5 years. And so during that time, I also was able to, I really started focusing on human trafficking and criminal justice involvement. So I ended up, getting certifications, getting more endorsements, and being able to really figure out who and what I wanted to work with. And so now with Handcuffs to Hope, it's pretty much, I'm doing a lot of the same work that I was already doing. But with this push, what it is for so many more of us to share our stories in places that, society used to not let us into. We've done a lot of that, breaking stigma in the community, and we've had a lot of these great relationships. And so the biggest push is for people like us to speak up, this is what is saving lives. This is what is working in today's world. Our drug supply today is not what it was, 10 years ago when I was using. It's just a completely different ball game.
It's a whole other world.
Yeah, it's a whole other world. And so back then, everybody could stay anonymous, kids could party, and stuff landed how it landed. But that's not how it is anymore. These kids are dying. It's so much. And so it's a big push on us sharing that stuff and being able to do, a lot of community service. We're having the big push on working, especially with, addiction and trafficking, criminal justice involvement. Those are the kind of people that, for one, that we are, right? And so being able to be this person and once lived that life to now doing what I do and having the life I have, it's absolutely insane to me. And so, we need more people to be able to see that, right? So one of my favorite things is, when we get on Knoxville Crime and we see mugshots, right? Mm-hmm. And so we get on there and people are so hateful and they're mean and they think things are funny and, they act like this person doesn't matter. And so, one of the things I had just started doing was like, hey, we do recover. I hope that you, see this. And then one day you're, so in January, a little bit before that, this girl, I will never forget this just because it was so, I swear I thought I was looking in the mirror. They posted this girl's mugshot and she just looked so, you could just tell in her eyes, like she was broken and she was beaten and she was just not there no more. Just tired. Yeah. And I swear when I saw it, it literally gave me goosebumps because I was just like, it stunned me for a minute because I felt like I was literally looking in the mirror. And so I commented on there and I'm like, listen, sweet girl, we do recover. Like, I hope that you see this one day. And then you get to post your own mugshot saying, this is who I am. And so I will never forget, in January, I was sitting there and all of a sudden I got a message request from somebody. And I looked and it was that girl and she screenshotted my comment on the thing. And she sent it to me and she says, I just want to say thank you. Nobody else said something like that to me. And she said, I'm clean. This is my family. This is what I'm doing today. These are my kids. And I was like, that's it. That's why. And so a lot of people, everybody has their own different thing. But that's one of the reasons I love social media so much, because you get to reach more and different types of people in different situations and stuff like that. It just reminds me that we have a reason that we do what we do and why we do it. And when I get those little God feelings of you should say this or you should do that, I listen to those because that's what makes everything go around.
You have to follow. Like
Yeah.
we literally just had that same conversation today, and it's like when Holy Spirit tells you to do something, you have to follow right then.
Yes.
And you can't second guess it. You can't negotiate or bargain it. Like when you're called, you got to go.
Yes.
And I told him that earlier. I said, we've been called for so long, and we have wavered off the course back and forth for so long. I said, I'm not wavering no more.
Yes.
It's time to go. He's
Yes.
sending us. He's creating this amazing path for us right now. We're going.
So how Handcuffs to Hope just happened. This is something I've been working on for the past year, kind of just quietly in the background of figuring out. I didn't know what we were going to call it. I didn't know exactly what we were going to do. I was just kind of, and then God literally let me look over a cliff, and he just kicked me in my back. And so, and then we're like, it's time. This is it. And so, the people that are in my life now that are involved, it's just something that's so special. It's a special group of people that we've all been friends for a long time, and have been able to work together in many different types of capacities, have personal relationships also, and that's what we wanted to kick and move forward. So that's pretty much basically how we ended up here. It's the same thing when it comes to my kids playing ball, my husband, like every bit of it is. My husband is my oldest son's dad, and so we separated when we were engaged and separated when my oldest son was 6 months old. And so then now my oldest son is 10 and we were married. And it's
awesome.
funny, and he's one of us. He's in recovery, and it's so everything just it happens how it's supposed to.
It's so amazing.
Yes.
And see, our big
crazy.
mission here is like just people don't understand. So, and that's what I started this out of frustration after I buried the 33rd person since I got clean, and I got so mad that nobody really understands. It's gotten to a point of where we'd rather ignore it because we don't know what to do. So for us to step in and like you telling your story, and I've had parents tell their stories from their seats, and if you've been watching, there's obviously patterns that are starting to develop. That my story, like when you said that different sex, you're sitting there telling it every time you talked, when you hurt, I hurt because that's my story too. Like, the trauma, every single thing, it's so universal.
Yep.
And then the recovery can be so universal when you apply it too. And I'm just so thankful, like, to sit back and to watch not only what we're doing, but when I seen yours and be happy for you, no envy, just look at what they're doing over here too, Michael.
Yes.
Like, it's not only us, something bigger is about to happen. I think Knoxville's very fortunate to have you, now that I do know you. I'm looking forward to the future. Maybe this expands.
Yeah.
We'd love to go into jails. We talk about it all the time. But yeah, I'm just thankful for somebody to
Imagine
have somebody.
sitting and doing this with an inmate one day.
Well, see, that's
Yeah,
it.
that's the goal. We talked about it. It started
when
out.
we started was
We started out with just literally, we don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And it was strictly for addicts. And then after that first show, we talked and we realized that the recovering addicts and the addicts ain't the only ones that deserve to hear about hope.
Yeah.
And that just because their vice isn't our vice,
Yeah.
I guarantee that there's trauma, there's a hole that they're trying to, everything else is so universal. So just by continuing to do this, I'm so excited just to see hopefully one day that we have an encyclopedia
Yeah.
for
it's like,
every kind of walk of life.
for the angle
know.
of what we started this for, I always had that jail prison connection in the back of my brain, and I didn't know how I was ever going to get those to coincide. And I was sitting there thinking about that. I was like, when you said that, I was like, could you imagine, like, because going from being at Knox County to going in and helping that person at Knox County and sitting down, like, that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
And it's so exciting to think that we're on the brink of it happening. And because I remember that one, like all the church services I used to go through and all the people that would come, there was one church group I remember back in 1999, like one guy that actually cared. He actually spoke to me like a normal person. You know what I mean? And like, for that moment, everything was okay.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, I always knew that I cared for people too, but it's like when I was at Brushy Mountain, I had one person that always came back and cared for me. One person at Morgan County and it was like when I had those, it kept coinciding, and God was always speaking to me throughout those times. And I was like, I'm good. Too much, you know, let me do this. And when I was in the ministry pretty strong a few years ago, and I mean, I was on the brink of, I was wanting to do everything you're doing now, and I'm so proud of this. And I let church hurt push me off. And so the past couple of years, I stepped away, and I was like, I just can't. Like, you know, being so vulnerable and exposing and doing, and it's like, And then Justin come to me, he's like, hey, I was thinking, you want to start a podcast? I was like, And then we started talking, and it was like, this is what we're supposed to be doing. And then you popped up, and it was like, okay, God, I get it. Like, because we've been doing this and going for the angles of the parents, the second comebacks, but it's like, how do we? I want to tie the convict in there too, you know, because I remember what it was like. Nobody caring, nobody being the support that we needed. And just tell them it's okay not to be okay right now. You know what I mean? Like, we can get through today. So I'm very excited for what you're doing. So supportive of it all.
Thank you.
I'm honored that you took the time to be on the show with us.
Absolutely.
And I hope that everybody sees this, share it out, push it out. Even if you don't relate to it, you know somebody that can, and reach out to us. We'll put all the links for any info that get in touch with whoever you need to get in touch with, because it's important. We care, and we're going to make a difference.
Absolutely.
So, I do have one question. If they want to help you out, what are some ways that they could go and help out Handcuffs for Hope?
So starting out, we have a brand ambassador program that'll basically be individuals that are able to get out in the community, be resourceful, you know, peer support, be able to help guide and mentor people, and really kind of push some of the advocacy, share their stories, stuff like that. And then on the bigger end also, since we are brand new, we also need funding. So if people want to donate, those are things. We have our 501c3, so we are able to take donations now. Basically, we'll kind of be small operating at first until we're able to secure larger funding. Luckily, thankful for CareCuts Ministry, they've allowed us to use some office space and be able to kind of take that burden off of us. Until we can, be able to secure some of that space. So really, if anyone wants to get involved, I would say the donating is a big thing. And then if people want to, actively be involved, there's people like that too. We can do, the brand ambassador program and pretty much kind of just get it out. We want people to share their stories and talk about these second chances. We're doing a big social media push, so we've put on there on our Facebook page if people want to send in videos. We're doing a huge social media campaign. And that's something that kind of just, that's the world that we're in right now. And that's the way that we've been able to reach a lot of people is doing some of that social work. And so really that's basically the ways to get involved until we can get, set programming. We are going to be able to, we're doing a big push for criminal justice involvement. So we will be working on a lot more facilities. Just recently, we have peer support. I've been blessed with the state to kind of work on what some of these specialized things look like. So at first I was really young when I became a peer support specialist. So we ended up doing a young adult peer support program. I've obviously aged out of that now, but I was young at one point. And so then just now recently we just launched the criminal justice involvement endorsement on that peer support specialist. So what that's going to do is push this more statewide. To have more justice facilities get involved. So that's to come.
Great.
That's to come.
Amazing.
So
And that's
exciting.
what we want to do is partner with as many community partners that we can, because I liked how you said, like we're not in competition, we're collaborating.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what this is for.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly what this is for. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm slowly learning. Like, I'm thankful for this one place that I can sit down and there's no lies detected to me. Like some of the parts of your story that you could have kept out. But to you that was important to share those parts. It's hard to share those parts, but
Sure is.
I sit here every week almost and get to sit and watch somebody else do it, and I just get so amazed by just the willingness to throw it out there. Like, I told somebody one time, I give you my bullets, you can't hurt me with them. Like,
Oh,
I'm the one
absolutely.
that gave you the
Yeah,
bullets.
no, absolutely.
So I'm just thankful, and we're going to keep on doing what we're doing, and we're here in any way that we can
Yeah,
be for
for
you
sure.
as well. And we're just excited for the future for both of us. Obviously, something's happened.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
It's
thankful
coming.
for a God that can pump the brakes. I'm thankful for a God that can see a little farther into the future than I can.
Yeah.
Amen.
And I thank God for second chances like you.
Absolutely.
Second
And y'all are
chances.
doing a great job.
Yeah, thank you.
I
You
really
too.
appreciate y'all
So
having
impressed
me.
by you.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you.
No.